Hey there, good to be back. I know it's September, but I'm sharing the August episode now. Just had quite a few things going around. But nevertheless, we are back with another 40 under 40, one of the top corporate communication influencers, Sandeep Rao. Now, those who are in India in the PR, journalism, corporate communication industry will surely know him because he runs this marvelous group called One Source across WhatsApp. I mean, it's an absolute help and heaven for people in the industry. He talks about mental health in the media industry, uh, what all you need to do when you're starting out, why is it so important to run this kind of a platform, and a lot more. He also runs his own consultancy, so there's a little bit about that too. Go check out the interview, and I will be in touch for the next one. Until next time, KarishmaKonnect, Wolf, Connect.
So, firstly, thank you so much for making time, joining me in, and being a part of Connect. And I look forward to sharing this interview with the people because I have had so much of help from One Source myself that when I thought, okay, I have to take your interview, I was like, I have a bundle of questions because I constantly wonder कि वो सुबह जो messages आते हैं वो आते कैसे हैं मतलब how is it so organized, how did it start? And yeah, it was just a
Okay.
curious it's building up in me.
No, of course. So the thing is, we started the forum about 7 years ago, right? Um, I've generally been a little strong on the what is called media relations in the public relations piece, right? Because one of my very first bosses had told me, "Yeah, numbers collect mat karna. Try and understand what people go through." So try and understand the journalists' deadlines. Try and understand the fact that in the morning in the edit meet, if their story isn't liked, they're mostly going to get screamed at by the editor.
Yeah.
Right? Try and understand their psyche. Make friends out of them. हर बार story के लिए जाओगे तो story तो एक दो हो जाएगा. तीसरे बार से वो बोलेगा यार सिर्फ काम के लिए approach करता है, right? So that's kind of an approach that I always took. And which meant that very often I would pass on numbers to other people. I would pass on, अच्छा, इस journalist से ऐसे बात करो. Gautam Mengle from erstwhile The Hindu, he's my brother, so I'm taking his name here. Gautam, if you're going to call him, make sure you call him only post noon, because on Tuesdays, he's the only person who's closing the entire city page for the Hindu in Mumbai. So if you call him on a Wednesday before noon, he's not going to take your call, right? So I used to do all of this, and it was more often one-on-one, yeah, emails pe pass kar diya, and then WhatsApp came along, and I started passing numbers to people on WhatsApp. And one day my brother said, and I was cribbing about how there are people who will, kind of message at 2 in the morning and say, "Acha, ye number de dijiye." I'm like, "Yaar, tum sach mein call karne wale ho?" But then I'm like, "Yaar, de do yaar," because one has been down that grind. So I'm like, "Yaar, de do." Yeah. He said, "Why do you bother sending out numbers individually? Why don't you just make a group?" I'm a little technologically illiterate. I said, "Matlab group matlab," he said, "Yaar, WhatsApp aaya hai, naya hai. You can add 50 people to a group." So we kind of did that, and that's pretty much how it started, Karishma. Very frankly speaking, it wasn't rocket science. Okay, even to date, I tell my brother, "Yaar, idea tera tha, mera nahi tha." He's like, "हाँ, but उसके बाद तो पूरा आपने किया ना." I'm like, "यार, वो तो नहीं मालूम, but I just shared numbers." So it started there. There was the sentiment of, and if you will have interacted with enough PR people to know that. In the batch of fresher to say about 3 years of experience, the kiddo in the PR agency will be asked to do a story. Okay, imagine being asked to pitch a story on budget day to a budget journalist about a product launch of a new range of pens that shoot fire
Been there.
when you click on them. And hypothetically, if you're the PR person, you're thinking, "Yeah, I'm going to shoot fire from somewhere if somebody presses something, because I know I can't call a journalist." So they should have, the industry will not change overnight. They won't even be handed numbers. कि ठीक है, इन पार्ट से बात कर लो, मेरा reference दे देना. Call करो, media list है, right? So I've kind of been down that route. I said, यार किसी का अगर भला होता है, if I can add on a few media insights. And frankly speaking, that time it was just me. Over the last 7 years, there have been close to 60 admin who've come and gone.
Mm.
Okay,
Mm.
because it's pro bono, it's voluntary.
Mm.
We aren't exactly getting paid. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. That does this even get you any revenue? Or it's just pure sport that you're giving.
Yes, we've actually earned $2,000 in the last 7 years. That's kind of awesome.
Okay.
So we decided we'd have we decided we'd do quarterly get-togethers in every city, right?
Mm.
And we did the Bombay one. We did a press club, and we got about 120, 130 odd people. We were very happy because बस यार client के लिए बहुत कुछ करते हैं, कुछ industry के लिए किया. You get this feeling of, but eventually, yeah. But to be very frank with you, very few people will say this. Those who give back do it as much to give back as out of the relief and relaxation that they feel at having given back. That's the selfish part.
Yeah.
7 years down the line, there are people like Rehan Khan who even today gets up at 6 in the morning and make all the updates. आपने पूछा ना कहाँ से आता है? वो रोज सुबह बनाता है. Economic Times at one source, Hindu at one source, Live Mint at one source.
Yeah.
Pichle raat, all the job posts, the media opportunities, right? The various kinds of posts that we put out, they get closed by 10 o'clock by a lady called Vishakha Goswami. And at one point of time, the admin consisted of, because we had on-ground events and, we had bigger catch-ups called Fonte, we had smaller catch-ups called Perceptions. We had close to about 15 odd people on the admin team. And that was when we had maybe about 6,000 to 8,000 members. Today, we've got about 15,700 odd members, right? Only on WhatsApp, because
so many groups separately.
60 odd groups.
Yeah.
The pain started when the joy of how WhatsApp policy changes and our faces either light up or true. WhatsApp said, we'll increase 50 maximum number of members from 50 to 100, 100 to 256. We were like, awesome. I mean, okay, so when are we able to take 5 groups and chunk them into one so that there's fewer groups we have to send things to, right? Because that's the pain of our lives. For example, sending any post out on 60 groups takes about 80 seconds if done right. उतने देर में अगर आपको कोई ping आ गया and suddenly you've lost which group you were forwarding it to, then let's not go. And for example, the part that really hit us because of all the fake news that was doing the rounds, forwards were restricted to 5 groups only.
Yeah.
Earlier, what would have taken maybe 7 seconds, all of a sudden takes 80, 90 seconds, and So we've all kind of heard interviews of entrepreneurs who said we measured our life in minutes. In our case, fortunately, unfortunately enough, we end up measuring our life in seconds.
One of the first, and I should mention this here because it's a perfect opportunity to. One of the earliest lessons that I was taught in Bombay when I went to work there, and I was interning at Hindu, and that time Shubhamoy Sikdar, who was he was at Hindu at that time, back then. And I was lucky enough to have him as one of the first few seniors around. And he took me to this, there was a Sholay ka 40 years or 50 years ka event that was happening. And 2 lessons he taught me. One was that he made, I was sitting at this massive, I was an intern, that too from Dubai, so mere ko aur bhi wo tha ki, are yaar, you're
feeling very out of place.
Yeah. You're still getting acquainted with this audience which is filled with people, and they're all asking such smart questions, and you're like, yeah, maine picture hi aadhi dekhi, I don't know what to say here. And Shubho goes like, listen, just ask. And I said, okay. And it so happened that he did not say anything, and he pushed it on me. He's like, you ask. And I put my hand and they selected me also. And I was like, oh my God, ye kyun kiya inhone? And then I asked my question, and the moment after that was so liberating. And so that was the first lesson.
Yes.
And the second lesson he taught me, which is actually what reminds me of OneSource every time, is that I had joined a PR company and I messaged him, Shubho, I need this contact. And he sent me like 3-4 contacts essay. And he's like, Yele, and call them, and this is how you should call them, this is how you should not call them, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay. Then I told him, thank you so much, Shubho, for this such great help. If you need anything, please let. And the only line he said was, listen, the next time you find somebody, please give them these contacts as well. Be willing to help those three.
That's it.
So it was so beautiful, and I carry that with me every moment, of this journey. And that's what even OneSource reminds me of, because that's what I think, that's what makes it more humane in this craziness that we live in.
I agree. You know what? There have been people, all of us have had our share of follies, right? Our share of faux pas.
Yeah.
I have actually called the bureau chief of PTI in Mumbai by the wrong name. Okay. After having known him for 8 years.
Oh my God.
8 years.
I thought I did blunders.
Oh, I got his name wrong. Okay. And I should mention right here for all the audiences and for you, I am extremely neutral, pro-life. Okay.
Yeah.
You will understand why I say this later. So I call the person something that sounds like an Oriental name. After 8 years of knowing, he responds on mail saying, Sandeep, you and I have known each other since your own glory days, and I am not bloody Chinese. I'm like, यार आज तो मेरा करियर खत्म हो गया और मेरा करियर खत्म भाई, मतलब इसके बाद कुछ बाकी नहीं रह जाएगा. I might as well go back to Jamshedpur, right? But a lot of people give you chances if you can't pass it on, right? So whether it be a Vivek Padia, God bless his soul, who is now passed on, he was a corporate communication head of TCS. Whether it be a Radha Krishnan, who is the current corporate communication head of Wipro. I say these names with a lot of pride and a lot of casual, in a very casual manner, because these people gave chances. When nobody else was willing to bet on a person, they bet on a person.
Yeah.
So we just need to kind of pass it on. Yeah. About say 20 odd years old, okay, 20 or 19 odd years old, does an internship, is supposed to be paid $4,000 for that internship. And 3 महीने के इंटर्नशिप के बाद उसको 12,000 रुपए मिलने थे. बेचारे ने काम किए होंगे 12,000 के लिए 3 महीने, right? And we all know. Have you ever interned?
I have interned for free.
So I have also interned for free. Okay, I've served coffee. Intern का काम क्या है? जा coffee लेके आ. And
one that I did, I only had to sit and read. That was my first internship, by the way. All I did was just sit, read, put files from a CD onto a folder for like a month, 2 months.
Exactly. And you feel like, भाई भेजा निकाल के पत्थर डाल दिया अंदर में, मतलब दिमाग काम करना बंद हो गया. My God, right? So the kiddo reached out to me. I think the kiddo must have put out a Facebook post. Somebody said, "Aap Sandeep se baat karo, ye number." This happens very regularly, okay? And initially, I used to get irritated. Then I said, "Yaar, mera irritation का क्या फायदा यार? I'm in a position of privilege." जो reach out कर रहा है, उसको कितना pain हो रहा होगा? किसी को arbitrarily reach out कर रहा है. And the person said, ऐसा हुआ. And turns out that the MD of the firm that hadn't paid the monies was on the forum. I reached out, I said, XYZ, yaar, aisa kyun ho raha hai? He said, yaar, market is a little bad. So I said, yaar, market is a little bad, but the kid didn't join thinking of the market, no? Joined because of a promise you made. I've written industry articles as well. You can't hire a stringer and say, मेरे को client ने पैसा नहीं दिया, इसलिए मैं गुवाहाटी में काम कराया था, मैं उसको पैसा नहीं दे पाया. भाई, उसने इसलिए तो join नहीं किया. She or he didn't do that piece of work because client would pay more. Yeah. They did it because you contracted them. So helping in these cases, helping arbitrate in these cases, Bombay floods that happen, right? And yeah, actually that's a bad statement because Bombay mein to har saal matlab.
Har saal hota, but I know the one that you're talking about. I was there at that time.
There you go. So I got stuck in the Network 18 office. This is in Lower Parel, right? and I had gone to meet a few friends from Forbes, etc. And they get stuck, and all of a sudden, and I've walked to the Network 18 office from India Bulls, which is in Elphinstone.
Yes.
Okay. Pani is already up till your knees, and you're walking and you're saying, "Aaj to gaya man."
Yeah.
Anyway, you managed to get there, and then from there you go to. There were 5 of us. We said, "Yaar, barish to rukne nahi wali." There was this place called Barking Deer or something along the lines in Lower Parel. We said, "Chalo, wahan chalte hain. Wahan jaake, yes, you can put this out. wahan jaake tight ho jate hain." मैं Forbes के journalist के साथ बैठा हुआ था. केस ठोकेंगे वो मेरे पे ठोक. And we're sitting there, and finally we realized the rain is not going to stop. Barking Deer shut down, and we're like, "Yaar, ab kya kare?" So finally we use the network. My dad's in auto. He said, if you call for Ola, Uber, wo pani mein jam ho jaye. Right? My dad's been in auto for close to about 40 odd years. He said, tumko truck chahiye. We booked about 10 to 12 trucks. वो luggage shifting के लिए होता है ना, घर shift करते time हम जो बुलाते हैं. We booked 10 to 12 of those, set up routes. One of those obviously came and picked me and those Forbes journalists. And along the way, because I used to stay in Versova, from Lower Parel, so we're taking Tulsi Pipe Road. Along the way falls Elphinstone, ye wo sab kuch aata hai, right? Which means right side pe DNA aata hai, Business Today aata hai, left side mein aur kuch aata hai. And we've actually mapped it out saying, and DNA or Business Today wale office mein Edelman bhi aata hai, Genesis bhi aata hai. So we're just picking up people, right? And it was harrowing, especially for Srishti, because she was sitting at home doing all the coordination. I was the one outside, on ground. But I think we helped close to, I would say, nahi bhi to somewhere around 70, 80 people that day. Admin head for close to about 30 years. Okay. Her daughter today runs the Dubai piece that we were speaking of earlier, where she tries and helps people in Dubai, right? Sharon. Sharon's mom was the head of admin for a firm, large firm, among India's top 3 today in the public relations space, not integrated marketing, but she needed blood. And so we put out these posts every once in a while. Okay, blood is required, ye kar do, plasma is required, wo kar. So, and that actually helped her. People actually turned up. Okay, and that feels very we had to stop some of these during COVID because we were working during the initial days of COVID. We used to get a lot of information on everybody was putting out advisories, right? All of a sudden, advisory karo, usme apna brand ka naam hona chahiye. For some reason, it seemed to become a PR tool, and I was like, "Bhai, log mar rahe hain yaar."
How can you do it? Yeah, absolutely. There was a point when I stopped. I was like, "Abhi main kar hi nahi rahi kyunki ye abhi फिर से mix हो गया है कुछ."
Exactly. And around that time, we spoke with a few doctors who said, "Listen, you need to be very cognizant of what information you're putting out. If it's incorrect and life goes, you're liable." पहले यार legal liability छोड़ यार, मतलब मेरे ज़मीर पे आ जाएगा. But around that time, we had to stop blood donation drives as well, because we realized if somebody with the virus passes it on to somebody who doesn't, by freak chance, that is still on somebody. Right? But being able to help in such cases, there was a journalist whose husband got lost. A bureau chief level television journalist whose husband got lost for 4 days. With a lot of pride, I can say, chauthe din, the husband got found because somebody from the forum saw him because we had been circulating posts with image. Okay. So there are some very funny stories, few and far in between, right? For example, half the members will know which journalist I'm talking about. But the journalists, we let these things pass, right? The idea is, most people think, yaar, number share karte. Yaar, hum number share nahi karte. We just try and help, because Karishma's been in a bad place in life. Sandeep's been in a bad place in life, right? We didn't exactly have people standing up and saying, "Yaar, main karunga." Yeah. But if we can do that for people, right, that kind of matters.
I have been missing it when I come into this market. when I'm working here and I'm like, kidhar hai ye? This kind of a thing where you have like an instant, of course, like you have your Facebook groups and all that jazz. But that approachability, that abhi message kiya aur abhi aane wala hai contact ya, koi na koi to kuch. And that's what I asked you. That's what my next question was. Do you see this, going global? Are you going to do something like that? Or, yeah.
If I can help, more than happy to. At some point of time, if we can integrate it. Because after 7 years, I've seen people who want database. I've seen people who want to monetize. I've seen people who are willing to give away the database. I've seen people who are willing to run ads. Okay. I've seen, we had somebody from a public relations agency come to me, and not an HR person, come to me and say, yaar, aap log jo HR post dalte ho na, kitne logon ko naukri milti hogi? I said, yaar, साल के 600-800 लोगों को मिल जाती है. एक काम करो ना यार, HR का ये स्टार्ट करते हैं. You pass me the CVs, I'll pass them to my HR and I'll get joining commission, bonus, referral commission, and I'll split it with you 50%. I said, दोस्त मैंने इसलिए नहीं किया था, चलो. So after having seen those many you become kind of jaded. Yeah.
You met your wife on the forum as well. Tell me about that.
Time I was working with some other firm, right? And you get only that much time because भाई उनका धंधा संभालो, उनका BU संभालो, उनका ब्रांच संभालो, उनके लोग संभालो, सब कुछ करने के बाद ठीक है यार, हम तो get together भी करेंगे. Okay, so for Delhi, we used to do telecalling. Literally, मतलब members को phone उठा के यार सुनो. So we've always priced our tickets very, very. My starting salary was 11,000 rupees. When that happens, and you're invited to an industry event where the passes are $500, you're like, यार 500 रुपए में तो मेरा हफ्ते भर का dinner हो जाएगा यार, right?
Yes.
You stayed in Dubai. Yes.
No. I've stayed in India also, so I know the struggle.
So you know the poverty-stricken approach of starting your career, and you know the kind of salaries that you get, right?
You calculate because you're stuck in that bracket, and then tax. I was shocked for starting salary. यार ये tax में आधा चला गया, उसमें आधा चला गया.
And so I said, yeah, 80% of the industry is below the age of 28. That's a fact, right? Yeah. That's not hypotheses. That's a fact. These people, on an average, aaj acha milta hai, us time you wouldn't get more than a 50,000-60,000. Because when it comes to being paymasters, well, Indians tend to be land of 1.3 billion people. Tu chal jayega aur koi aa jayega, right? Wahi mentality hoti hai. So we used to price tickets at about say $150-200. Inclusive of food, alcohol, whatnot, right? So I'm calling up people randomly, and I call up this lady who I think I have spoken with multiple times. It turns out I haven't. And she speaks to me very civilly, and मैं सबसे ही यार करके बात करता हूँ, भाई करके बात करता हूँ, right? That's how I speak. It's not that, and I know that, well, there is precedent of others being creepy and there being creeps in this world, but मैं ऐसे ही बात करता हूँ.
Yeah.
Right. And we start chatting, and she attends. I met my wife for the first time on the 19th of February 2016 at the Delhi event. And we got married in October.
You got married in your wife's birthday?
October. तुम phone में लगे हुए रहते हो, right? This is a very standard dialogue I've heard. Either the father tell the mother or the mother tell the father, depending on who's working later.
Yeah.
Right. In our case, it's she'll turn around, she'll look at me, she'll be like, "Yaar, wahi kar raha hoga, theek hai, kar le yaar." Right? Because
perfect understanding about it. Media industry, the beginning of my experience in any job I've gone is every interview I've been told this is going to be a crazy industry. You won't have timings. Are you ready to do it? Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, rent se to nikalna hai.
Yeah. You're intimidated, but you're like, but I studied, I want to be here, and exactly, I need to pay my bills. What do you sort of think the industry needs to do to, get this part of it off the cuff, because this is also one of the reasons why a lot of youngsters struggle in this industry, So that is, yeah, those are the two things that will be my last question to you.
So, what did I do? I still haven't been too successful. Okay.
Mm.
What am I doing? I'm accepting it. And this is the piece I would request you to put out how you edit it. And yes, I have also done my fair share of editing to pay the bills. So right. So I know the amount of pain that goes in. But the point is, 7 out of 10 people in this industry, beyond the experience of say about 3 to 4 years, have at some point of time or the other gone through a mental health issue. If you brush it under the carpet, if we brush it under the carpet, we're doomed. Okay, because these are, I feel a little old in the head when I say this, but these are those bachus who join with stars in their eyes saying, yaar,
kuch karna hai.
Kuch karna hai life mein. And then when that happens to them, you are completely, and I've lost so many people. We actually found places where people can go to therapy for free, which are good. For example, my request is put this out there. There's a place called Sanjeevani in Delhi.
Okay.
Right? Bombay, I'll check with Srishi and Yogita and I'll come back to you. We found places in each of these cities. Ab utna hi kar sakte hain.
Yeah.
Okay. And we told our people, you don't need to tell us. हफ्ते में एक therapy session रहेगा ना, 1 घंटे का रहेगा, work from home पे हैं हम सब. Just tell your line manager that I am off for an hour. We've got liberal working policies. Go ahead, take it. If we don't talk about it, Karishma, we will come to a place where we will be left only with jaded people. Today we're courageous enough to do an entire event with 6 different panel discussions only on mental health, with industry participants, with an account executive actually going up on the panel without worrying कि उनका CEO बैठा हुआ है audience में और बाजे ना बजा डाले. We will then be a mature industry.